Good evening, ladies. It's not often that I get to open a gig like this with only women in the audience. And at Kohler, we took it a step further and decided to have this day as a fun-filled Pecha Kucha evening by Kohler Bold Art, featuring 8 multi-talented women professionals. And then we decided to push the envelope a little further. We decided to showcase as many women professionals as we could. So here's a shout out to our camera crew. That's all women. Let's hear it for them. Our wonderful staff that is waiting on us, also women. And the organizers at the console. Thank you all for making it a night for just us. 2018, ladies, is year 6 that Kohler has been hosting Pecha Kucha nights, and we have a 145-year legacy. Our theme tonight is Creativity Has No Glass Ceiling, and we're all curious to know what our formidable panel of 8 thinks about it. As usual, we use Pecha Kucha's simple concept for an informal and fun evening, 20 slides each for 20 seconds. So, we'd like to begin with our panel, and we do so by inviting Seema Puri Mullan. She's the principal architect at Cesar Architects. And among the many awards that Seema has received, there's an interesting one that stands out, and it's called Role Model for Women in Architecture Awards, which she got in 2016. Clearly, Seema knows how to break glass ceilings. Seema, it's over to you.
Let's start. Creativity has no glass ceiling. Today being Women's Day, I would like to celebrate some amazing women from different fields who've really created history. Indra Nooyi. Indra Nooyi is an Indian-American business executive and the current chairwoman and CEO of PepsiCo, the second largest food and beverage business in the world. She has consistently ranked amongst the world's 100 most powerful women. Whitney Houston. Whitney was an American singer, actress, as well as a producer. In 2009, the Guinness World Records cited her as the most awarded female act of all times. Meryl Streep, the actor to get 3 Oscars and 21 nominations. She is a woman who has definitely created history, done startlingly different roles and broken every stereotype there is through her sheer talent. The common streak that is seen amongst all these women is that they have moved out of their comfort zone. They have broken records in different fields and they have been truly creative. Yet, when I type and look for an image of creative on the internet, I get an image of this man. Why is it always a man's image? Why isn't it a woman? Are women always going to be tracked in societal norms? The scales always seem to be straight, but for example, if a woman asks for leave to take care of her child, it is called bad time management. While if a man asks for leave, suddenly he is thought of a very caring and a very benevolent father. So is society really fair? Or are these scales forever tipping in the favor of men? And this is probably what boxes some women in, sort of creating mind blocks. Even when you look at the English language, you will always find that it is mankind, man-made, and manpower. The list is endless. So, a question that while we are trying to succeed and while we are trying to shatter the ceilings, don't you think we also require to readdress our society to avoid this repeated male gender glorification? I think we should change this inequality. We have to make a choice. We have to take a chance and we have to be the change. We can start by doing what is necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. Because even the word impossible is made of I'm possible. To succeed, we women have to be very adaptable to different environments and different work circumstances, and we have to persevere to continue, like almost everybody. But I think women manage a very, very tough balancing act. I think all of us women have to join hands. We require to bridge this divide and not be afraid to ask for help for maybe other fellow women. Because to succeed, I strongly feel that we require to connect and to communicate. My mantra, never give up. Success is a journey. It's not a destination. Success comes with perseverance and determination. Yes, most women overthink their femininity, creating doubts in their mind without realizing that succeeding in life is more about a positive mindset rather than about gender. Let's take a cue from somebody who has never had to take a step back, somebody who is truly creative. I don't think I require to introduce her, Dame Zaha Hadid. I'm sure a lot of people don't appreciate the kind of work she does, saying that her work is not sustainable, it's too expensive, it's not contextual. But the point of the matter is that she should be appreciated because she dared to be different, she dared to have radical ideas, and she put all these ideas across to probably rooms full of men, and she did it well. The first woman to win a Pritzker Award. We all have it within ourselves to be amazing, to be great, make the impossible possible and break all the ceilings. We women are Wonder Women. And I'm sure if I check underneath your clothes today, I will definitely find that red cape. I think we have the ability to break through all our inhibitions and paint our own destiny. You know, I'm often asked this question, why did you do architecture? And for those who know me, I love music. And architecture is frozen music. For me, the inspiration is do something, be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. It's a great saying to live your life by, and that's what architecture really means to me. It's been an eventful journey so far, and we will hopefully do better and more varied works, something which stretches our imagination, which pushes the envelope. And on a personal level, I'm a firm believer of the truth, that if you're not failing every now and then, you're not doing anything very innovative. Every great dream begins with the dreamer. Always remember you have it within you, the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars.
So we move on to Aparna Narasimhan. She's the principal architect and partner at Venkataramana Associates. She's an architect with over 3 decades of experience. She maintains a strong emphasis on drawing by hand as a design tool. Let's have Aparna Narasimhan.
Hello everybody, thanks for having me. Creativity and glass ceilings. Is there a connection? I don't think so. Accounts maybe, but not creativity. Well, if there is, why not use it to reflect on yourself? True, it's a cliche, but then again, cliches are received wisdom, aren't they? Why should these kinds of cliches be blocks at all? Also, according to me, gender should mostly be in the bedroom. I've been through this rite of passage too, scrambled for admission, college, etc. And when I chose architecture, the usual comments came flowing. Well-meaning uncles saying, oh, she can draw so she can work from home, stereotyping the profession and women. And I had many interests when I grew up, you know, the typical South Indian family, music, and that was mandatory. And then there was other skills which were thrust upon me. And this is my studio now. I still use a parallel, which many of you may have forgotten. This is my tailoring studio. I always made my own clothes. The sewing machine, that icon of domesticity, was always in my study. Hanging around my mother, I picked up the basics. Although it was quite plebeian those days, fortunately I didn't run away from it. Is there anything common between this housewife's hobby and architecture? Without my realizing it, this became a stepping stone for me. Since I knew fabric, understanding materials came easy to me. I understood crafts, so I understood history. I understood the human form, so I understood development of surfaces. I learned that there was a relationship between material and cuts. Hand-woven fabric and natural fibers needed to be conserved because it was hard work. Hence, the traditional straight cuts of a Kallidar Lucknow kurta, which you can see on the left here. Just like in architecture, one learns to respect material, the structural design of clothes. Just like our buildings, clothes have stress and strain points too. Wear and tear is caused by moving arms and legs. So this reinforced by the special fabric that you can see, the blue fabric under the armhole and on the slits on the sides of your kurta. It's design, it's the details. Quilting, it's an age-old craft. Patchwork quilt of a country farmhouse or a kantha of West Bengal. It is essentially repurposing fabric. Similarly, whenever there's marble, there's mosaic. Whether it's a terrazzo in Italy or it's in situ mosaic in your DDA housing colony flat from Rajasthan. I have a confession. I don't use AutoCAD. As in tailoring, drawing and dimensioning, it's the same. Sizing and proportion is important for decision making in design. This is one of the projects that we did for a school with a very tight budget. They call it the Art Village. I use this magic tool called WhatsApp. Every day the contractor would send me pictures, I would mark them and send them back. And the tight budget meant simple forms, basic trusses, and no consultants. Responding to the sloping wooded site, we had open classrooms in courtyards under existing trees. These spaces facilitated learning under nature, and nature was what was the teacher. We salvaged doors and windows from houses lost to the fast developing neighborhoods of Bangalore. Unlike most buildings here, we had a ceiling as the plane of reference for the changing volumes by the flooring dipping down along the contours. The sequence of covered and uncovered spaces created a certain rhythm of dark and lit spaces. Changing floor patterns were used, but the color palette and the materials were the same. I spoke about stress and strain points in an outfit, but this requires you to understand material. And as in architecture too, for this house, we had to develop customized details for metal hinges and locks and made us understand MS a lot more better. A home should fit you like a bespoke garment, tailored just for you. A perfect fit is a result of thoughtful design. It should look effortless. A clubhouse that we did for a residential complex required us to have an insight into the collective aspirations of a lot of people. It's neither what you like nor what the client likes. It's just what the buyer would possibly buy. I draw everywhere and everything I see, which informs all the designs I do. Instead of CAD, my tool of choice is PAD, pencil-aided design. Whenever you draw with a pencil, you can keep pace with your ideas. But with a computer, you're always playing catch-up with a mouse. Before you've thought it out, the digital line speeds past you. I get inspired by the everyday woman who I work with at Venkatramanan Associates, for whom stereotypes just don't matter. Whether work or home, they understand people. When there is a job to be done, they just embrace it and excel.
Thank you so much, Aparna. Well, we're moving on, and we've got actress, author, and film producer Tiska Chopra here with us, who graduated in literature from Hindu College, Delhi. Known for her clutter-breaking roles, Tiska has consciously chosen to be part of stories that she believes need telling. So I'm sure that you're as interested as I am to know what Tiska thinks of glass ceilings.
Let's bring the house down. Today's our day. Actually, I don't really like Women's Day because I like to have a Women's Decade or the Women's Century. That's more our style, right? All right. Okay, we can start with the presentation. I believe that we become the stories we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves in our head. And I've always had one story to tell, that I wanted to tell stories, boldly and without fear. It started rather early for me, as you can see. I was always the poser, a drama queen. At 2.5, I got my first role as baby Krishna. And then on to every school play, every debate, every fancy dress, from a rather plump Snow White and a very disinterested Prince Charming, as you can see, to then becoming a very enthusiastic Jesus Christ, I was never caught up with looking pretty. I loved being in the role and losing myself in it. To then becoming a very, very bald shoemaker in Shoemaker and the Elves. I dreamt of roles and playing them authentically. And all my dreams led me, with much resistance from my parents, who are both teachers, to Mumbai, the city of my dreams, only to find a host of problems, starting with...
Out of the blue, I get this call from this guy who's a very, very famous producer and director. He said, why don't you come over and meet me, and I'm casting for this film. And I landed up in his office, and he gave me an eye full, and he said, need to learn how to ooze. I got the part, and agreeing to do a film with him is like pretty much agreeing to be his pet squeeze. And then came the outdoor shoot. On the third day, he said, so let's meet in my room for dinner, we'll discuss the script. Come 8 o'clock, I buy this exotic bouquet and this box of luxurious chocolates. And I knock on Reptile's door, and he's sitting in a satin maroon lungi kurta. I walked up to him and I gave him a big hug and I said, thank you so much, sir, you've shot me so beautifully. He said that he didn't expect the fly to be so enthusiastic to walk into the spider's web. And just then, the phone rang, and it was his son calling. Because what I'd done was that I had told the hotel operator to transfer all calls that were coming to my room to his room. And so one by one, 5 or 6 calls happened, and Sir just lost his desire to discuss the script, and that was that.
And the casting couch, when I got my first film and I asked them, when they gave me the script, I said, where are my dialogues, where are my scenes? They said, madam, you've got 4 songs. I became scared, I became Bollywoodized, as you can see, that's completely male-dominated. I started going for pretty. Sometimes there was so much makeup that if you took me out from behind the makeup could act by itself. I stopped asking questions. Men called the shots and women were flower pots. It bothered me. But a woman is like a tea bag. You put her in hot water and she'll show you just how strong she is. Albert Einstein said, the woman who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before. So I started marching to the tune of my own drum, playing parts that became iconic. I wrote a book. I started asking questions again. I stopped trying to fit in. I started standing out. In Bollywood, there are 3 types of roles for women. 16 to 25 babe, 25 to 45 bhabhi, and 45 to whatever age you can walk till you're BG. I was neither. So I started scripting my own story. In a business that glorifies youth and beauty, I played a character in my very own production that was neither young nor pretty. It's a short film called Chutney. I don't know if any of you have seen it. Yay! The protagonist is a woman. She's badass, she's sassy, and she's super intelligent, and she messes with the other woman's head pretty damn well. It became the most watched short film in the world with 121 million views, and I was the writer, producer, and actor, not just of the film, but of my own life as well. When I looked for limitations, I found many. But when I looked for potential, it was much more than my limitations. We're now writing our first feature film. I see no ceiling, because through the glass, I see what the universe gave me. It gave me the sky, and as far as I know, that's just made up of gas. So there is no limit. Thank you so much.
So we've got up next Sonal Sancheti, Principal Architect at Opolis Architects. Sonal studied architecture at CEPT in Ahmedabad and did her master's program at the Southern California Institute of Architecture, Los Angeles. Besides designing, traveling, photography, and painting, are her other deep interests. So I'm very keen to know, Sonal, what are your views on this topic of glass ceilings?
There is no glass ceiling if you look right through it. If you're focusing on the glass ceiling, focusing on what you don't have, focusing on the limitations, then you are going to be limited. My way is to work, love what you do, work hard, don't worry about something that anyways is invisible. Today I want to talk about 5 concepts of my life which really help me be creative and keep me going without caring about the ceiling. Keep it simple, make the perfect moment, playing multiple roles. There are no rules, and routine stunts your creativity. Choose what you want to leave out. In this age of information abundance and overload, it is very important to really know what you want to keep and what you want to leave out. Nothing is more paralyzing than the idea of limitless possibilities. Creativity is subtraction. Remove the unnecessary. At Opolis, every aspect of design is questioned and revisited to evaluate its need. This involves a stripping down process, a very conscious effort, and ultimately culminates in giving simplest solutions to a very complex design issue. We believe that architecture is best when it is an honest expression of people and institutions it serves, when it interacts gracefully with its surroundings, and when it has an understated dignity based on being true to the location and the project requirement. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Grab it and make it perfect. It's really not about ideas, it's about making ideas happen. It always seems impossible till it's actually done. Sometimes a little bit of imperfection is also beautiful, and we should really not kill ourselves trying to be perfect in everything. Creativity is not a result of chance. It's a result of action. It's not a thing to wait for, it's a thing to do. If you have dreamt it, strive to achieve it. Taking risks is very essential to pursue a dream. Remind yourself that sometimes it's okay not to be perfect. When it comes to architecture, an ounce of execution is worth more than a ton of theory. It's really important to take all your liabilities and convert it into an asset, and that's when you realize there is no glass ceiling. As architects, we have this beautiful profession of translating dreams into reality, and we actually get paid for it, so I love it. Playing multiple roles and catering to various different challenges in the day can be extremely exhausting, but somehow most fulfilling. It's not really about women and multitasking. It's about all of us, men and women, playing multiple roles in multiple situations in life. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Women workers at site are my greatest inspiration, especially for the time management and the hard work. And they truly have taught me much more than any management books. And more so, they do everything with a big smile on their face. Multiple complexities of a project make us architects play multiple roles too. We play the role of a manager, an accountant, an organizer, a counselor, and last but not the least, a designer. All you require to be successful is the desire to achieve success and the determination to stick with it until you reach your goals. Lessons from my kids: there are no rules. 3 things they taught me: to be happy for no reason, to always be busy with something, and to know how to demand with all your might all that you desire. Think like a child and change your creative mindset to the one that works. Always keep the curious child in your life, and that will keep your creativity at its best. Kids are fresh, fearless, and amazing storytellers who teach you to dream and pursue your dream. Some painters transform a sun into a yellow spot. Others transform a yellow spot into the sun. Kids with their inquisitiveness occupy space in most amazing and creative ways which we have never thought of as architects. And through this emerges a new concept of space making. Remember, age is no bar to achieve any knowledge. It's all in the mind. In the last 16 years, I have not felt limited by gender as much as only by people's inability to embrace change and learn new skills and strategies. Always be eager to learn. Always keep the child in you alive.
It's all about the mindset. As Steve Jobs rightly said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. Whenever you pursue multiple interests, you will be amazed at how these various dots connect in life. Our collaboration for the Bihar Museum, which we recently completed, has been an example of this. Routine stunts your creativity. We sometimes forget to do all what we love in our life because we are very caught up. But it's important to do these, and this definitely sparks our creativity. Enrich your life, dream bigger, follow your heart. You only live once, so live your own life the way you want to. I believe the only limitations are the ones that we accept. I know that there is in theory a glass ceiling, but I don't believe that it's a solid wall. Yes, there are these preconceived notions. Yes, we have challenges. Let's accept them, let's not be afraid of them, and let's break through them. Every day is an opportunity to do something. Life isn't about finding yourself, it's truly about creating yourself. What the mind can conceive and believe it can truly achieve. The beauty of our profession is that we are young even at 40. We just got the Young Architects Award. And so be slow and steady, life is long.
Next, we have Pramiti Madhavji, who 17 years ago began as one of the founding editors of Elle Decor India. Today, she is the editorial and content director at Organ Media Elle Decor India. We get Pramiti to spill the beans on creativity and glass ceilings.
So we're here to talk about how creativity breaks the glass ceiling, and what I'm going to present to you today is about a day in my life using images that I've been posting on Instagram. I've been in the decor and design field for nearly 25 years now, and I've always been one to do things out of the ordinary, but with never a chalta hai attitude. So mornings are for exercising, but waking up is really hard, you know, and I'm sure all of you have the same problem. And you don't want to get out of this cozy bed from under this doorway and the pleasure of hitting that snooze button just for those extra few minutes of sleep, you know. And for some reason, if I'm lazy and I skip the morning routine, then waking up is with a dose of something else. Patience is key to anything, from setting your creative idea to implementing it, and as you can see, patience is also key to waiting for that first hot cup of coffee. But breakfast is my all-time favorite meal. Hot buttery croissants, together with a crunch of celery, the softness of cheese and the juicy tomato, combine that with a hot cup of coffee, orgasmic, I say. Well, on some days, you know, you just wake up and then say, you feel blah, and you say, okay, I don't feel your best. But you need a change of mood, and you just step inside the elevator and the sign tells you, hello gorgeous, have a nice day. You're pepped up already, you know. But then I get into the car and I say, let's pump up the music, and imagine that I'm cruising on this lovely road to nowhere, except that I'm currently facing the worst traffic jam ever. And it makes you wonder why your dream road has been taken away from you as you land into reality and into a traffic jam of an absolutely other kind. Now, who's to think this is what you're going to find in your way? Honk, honk, beep, beep. It's absolutely all of no use. This monster is not moving, and it's going to take its time to move. So what you're going to do, you know, you just sat there staring, try and make faces at it and say, come on, move on. Not working. So you try cutting lanes and this sign stares right back at you. Was I an accident? Or am I going to cause one? Right here? Or am I going to cause one back home tonight? I'm a bit puzzled and I blame it on the lack of sleep totally. I finally reach work and my golden hand stops me from thinking astray, and the little red sign saves my morning and says, don't panic. Oh, was I panicking? Well, maybe. I wasn't quite sure. The accident is going to happen at some point. But never mind. So I calm down. And how does one calm down? You just need to freshen yourself a little bit.
Okay. All of you might be squirming and saying, yeah, what is this thing she uses? It's not a toilet cleaner, believe me, it's a fragrance by Moschino. And I did pay a lot of money to pick this up, but then I'm a sucker for packaging. So it's what is life? You have to have fun in life, so you might as well. And then it's work time, and I admire this young kid who at 11 does these intricate drawings. They remind me of a science fiction video game. His drawing inspires me as I start my day. I mean, what do? We zip around like a rocket in the day and charge our batteries at night? Now, if it's some days it's a smiley, others it's squinty or gossip time, or I've eaten too much and I've been pressurized by them to have that large slice of cake, then it's just snooze. And that's how the afternoon just goes on and gets over. It's the evening and I have to show face at the work event. Back in traffic, I come across another interesting sign. I silently LOL. Because if I make any other facial gestures, the cop's gonna stop me and say, Madam, phone varti varta karte ka hai? So, no halting, whatever halting means, and no stopping. What lies ahead of me? A bar! Wow! I'm itching for a drink! Wow! Totally appropriate, I say. I stop my car, get out, and start walking immediately. It just says go slow, which means do I drink slowly or do I walk slowly? I'm not quite sure on that one yet, you know. And then I enter this lovely space where it's all about the detail, including the way they're serving the canopies. A jungle cat surrounded by edible green foliage. Awesome, right? Like, can I have a platter now? I imagine that whole platter, but all I get is one piece. So I get home and I'm really hungry still. And then I look and I pull away this new takeaway menu that's come in the morning papers. What do I feel like? Am I a giant cheese girl? Or only a cheese girl? Let's try the American cheese girl. No, wait. This special fresh Vandana, that's it. I'm grilled, I'm toasted. That's it, I've got what I want. And it comes in no time reminding me that women cannot do without men. It comes in this package which says, Mr. India, main hu ulta pulta. Well, thank you boys for making us laugh, but now it's your turn, and our turn, to show you that we love you lots. And I'm hoping my next slide comes on for this lovely video.
Honey, I'm going to show you a trick.
Okay, show me a trick.
See the penny?
I see the penny.
I'll put this bottle of water right on top of the penny.
Okay.
And I'm going to put this over it.
Okay.
And when I say the magic words,
yeah,
the penny's going to go inside the bottle.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, let me see this happen.
Okay. Now I got the towel. Boogie boogie.
Boogity boogity.
Boogity boogity.
Boogity boogity.
Okay. Now you look down in there and the penny's inside the bottle.
Oh!
We love you men, but we can't have you here tonight. Thank you very much and happy Women's Day.
We now move on to Kohler, CEO at K2 India. Kohler graduated from the Pratt Institute of Design in New York in 2004, returned to India and started her own independent architectural practice, Kohler Architects. Her skill sets as an architect are reinforced by also being a trained interior designer and a consummate furniture manufacturer. So let's give it up for Kohler.
Good evening. I decided I wanted to be an architect at the age of 13. I had had the opportunity to visit Hampi. There was something magical and something about the ruins of this great city that had been the capital of the empire of Vijayanagar. This allowed me as a 13-year-old to imagine a story of people, a culture, a way of life which had existed before a war that ravaged this mighty empire. The ruins of this great city lay strewn around. I was amazed how this city was built from the extraordinary granite. The topography of Hampi is as magnificent as the structures that exist there. I'm 38 today, but that was my Eureka moment. A site which had no life left in it, but which has lived on because of its extraordinary beauty and creativity. At 13, my young mind had decided and figured out a creative way to experience something which would change my life forever. Creativity is all around us, but how we interact with it, absorb it all, and get inspired by it depends on us as individuals. Creativity, as we know, is not just for artists. It's for business people looking for a new way to sell something, for engineers trying to resolve something and find a solution for a problem. It is for parents who want their children to see the world in more than just one way. Glass ceilings, in many ways, at least for me, are personal manifestations of our own insecurities, and sometimes, of course, they are restrictions being imposed by the external factors. I want to share a story with you which is close to my heart and has a lot to do with breaking physical and metaphoric glass ceilings. The interior designer and restorer Sunita Kohler started designing in 1972. She attended Loreto Convent in Lucknow and then went on to do her BA Honours in English Literature from Lady Shri Ram College in New Delhi. She then returned to Lucknow to the university there to do her Masters in English. While she was doing her Masters, she also got a degree in Hindustani classical music. For entertainment, she took part in theatre, modeled for products, and worked as a copywriter. In 1972, after getting married, a year earlier, she started her own interior design firm. In 1975, the Oberoi group of hotels approached her to design a hotel for them in Khajuraho. This 18th century Batti Uthao was bought by her from a street vendor in Khajuraho. It is used for raising the cotton wicks of lighted lamps to ensure that they do not burn out and drown in the oil. This small and beautiful piece of artistic design found in everyday objects opened an entirely new aspect of creative thinking. It inspired her to not only be rooted in the culture of the country and the area she was designing. In 1992, she was conferred the Padma Shri. This woman happens to be my mother, and I'm gladly to say she is here. But in my view, she has broken many glass ceilings, or perhaps just worked very, very hard and got over her reservations and insecurities, not just as a human being, but as an artist, a designer, and most importantly, as a woman. These slides that have gone by are of folk dancers. I'm going to talk to you about Meera Nayyar, a wonderful film director who I had the privilege of meeting and has also won the Padma Bhushan. She said to me once that she knew at a very early age that she wanted to become a filmmaker because she lived in a town called Bhubaneswar, and they had traveling folk dancers come in who performed theatre. Where would we be without Monsoon Wedding today? Richard Serra, the talented award-winning sculptor who moves people with his work, started off as an artist and not a sculptor. One day, after viewing a painting by an artist who had been dead for over 40-odd years, he decided to pack up his paint material and brushes, and today he's a sculptor whose work moves us and makes us the subject of his art. To be creative and to break glass ceilings exists for all of us almost at some point of time or another. Creativity is about what we see and what we believe in. It's about how we handle loss, hardship, death, and challenges. I want to end by talking about something that has resonated with me. These photographs are of the Muse Museum in Berlin, which I visited 2 years ago, and has been restored and designed by David Chipperfield. The original structure had been badly destroyed during the World War. When you walk around, you see old and new. David Chipperfield has gone into the space as a wanderer, an artist, and an architect, using his strokes of creativity while allowing the old to live on and embracing the new wherever he needed to. This, for me, is creativity. It reminds me how we live in the cycle of destruction, but we still have to create, about putting the pieces together and breaking through whatever glass ceilings that may exist and are temporarily holding us back. For me, creativity is all about passionate optimism and ensuring I stay sane while bringing up my teenage daughter and son. This previous slide, we were all there. Today, as parents, we have to be creative and adaptive while giving them the opportunity to fly. So yes, there are many glass ceilings, some imagined, some lingering and waiting to be broken, and some as reminders of what we have achieved and what we are yet to imagine and create. Thank you.
And we are on to our final presenter, Nandini Somaya Sampath, Director at Somaya and Kalapa Consultants. She's also the recipient of the iGen Innovation Generation 50 Award in 2013 that honors the top 15 next generation architects and interior designers. Put your hands together for our final presenter, Nandini Somaya Sampath.
August 17, 2018, Light and Gravitational Waves was produced by an event known as a kilonova, or the collision and merger of two neutron stars. Creativity has no glass ceiling. When I read this, I visualized women not being bound by any enclosure, but we burst out with the same sheer power and magnificence as the stars. I'd like to share with you my kilonovas. I first met Frida Kahlo in 1998, Art History 101. They described her as one of history's grand divas, a tequila-heavy drinker, a bohemian who threw festive dinner parties. But her story was powerful and refused to go away. She survived a serious bus accident at 19. She was impaled by an iron handrail, and her screams drowned out the sirens. She broke her spine, her pelvis, collarbone, ribs, and her right foot. It is unlikely she would survive. They had to put her back in sections, said a friend. Now forced to lie still, she needed a new way to be active. Without paying much attention, I began to paint. My obsession was to begin again, painting things that I saw with my own eyes and nothing more. She had a mirror on her bed where she could see herself. Frida was left with a buckle corset and a prosthetic leg for the rest of her life. The streetcar accident had left internal injuries which made it impossible for her to have children. She purged her emotions on canvas. Her paintings are often bloody and severe, but they simply represent the truth of what was happening. Frida vowed to walk again, and she did. And when she did, it was semi-colonial Mexico, communists, student leaders, artists, political exiles, and she rediscovered the pleasure of debate, music, dance, love affairs. And then she noticed Diego Rivera. I suffered two great accidents in my life. One is the streetcar that knocked me down, and the other is Diego. To her, Diego was the world's greatest artist, the architect of life. To him, Frida was a diamond in the midst of many inferior jewels. But he was known for his endless love affairs with women, and Diego was still a mentor to her, her best friend, and her equal. She was proud of her Mexican roots, and once she and Diego were married, she took to wearing Tijuana dresses from the southeast Mexican state of Oaxaca. It's a costume with a symbol of female power. She also favored this indigenous style of dress because the long skirts and blouses covered her misshapen leg and the corsets she was forced to wear. Frida was well known for her style, and there was phases of androgyny. She would experiment with men's clothes and hairstyles. Family portraits circa 1927 dressed in a man's suit. She would have affairs with women as well as men through her life. Perhaps one of the reasons Kahlo is so memorable is because she was not only an artist that broke the mold, but also as a person she broke the mold. There was even a connect with India. Nayantara Sehgal and Rita Dar, the daughters of Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, the sister of Jawaharlal Nehru, had gone to Mexico to visit and met with Frida. We put her in one of our saris and she loved it, Sehgal recalled. Kahlo changed the standards of beauty with her unibrow, her right leg thinner than the left one, and her indigenous Tijuana dresses. I regard Kahlo as a school of lessons. She showed the world what woman is capable of, both physically and emotionally. Looking back, I realized that I've only ever worked for women. In our everyday lives, we have women around us that serve as magnificent examples of resilience, strength, and passion for their work and life. I share with you three that are a part of my life. With each passing year and each generation, our country must become more equal, not less. Tammy Baldwin. I applied to the office of Tammy Baldwin, a Smith alumni, in 2001. International students were not given positions to work on Capitol Hill, but Baldwin was the first at many things. She hired 2 international students, myself and a student from Colombia. One of our main responsibilities was to give tours of the Capitol building to visitors. People were amazed that a girl from India was sharing with them the history of their country, the Capitol building, and Washington, D.C. Baldwin is a remarkable leader and went on to making history in 2012 by becoming the first openly gay politician and the first woman from Wisconsin to be elected senator. Each day was a show in court. You're judged at every step, and I was ready to prove I could excel in a predominantly male-dominated profession. In 2003, I found myself back in India and working with one of the top lawyers in the country, Zia Modi. It was a privilege to work and watch Zia work. Her passion for law was infinite. I will never forget watching Zia command a boardroom, usually filled with men, and powerful men, often the only woman, and she sat at the head of the table. She conducted the room with incredible skill and grace, and they all listened carefully. And it made me proud to be a woman. I am Indian, and all what I comes from my heritage. It's an intrinsic part of me and naturally reflects in my work. To have the chance to observe a successful woman at a profession is an experience that any individual is fortunate to witness. But I have seen a successful woman work, love, and live. This is my fortune. Greater still, she's my mother. With over 200 projects built across a span of 4 decades, Brinda Somaya has built a practice that deeply rooted in her country and her people. Being a woman in a male-dominated fraternity meant she had to make her voice could be heard, and she was heard because of brutal honesty and her efforts to always maintain a high standard of integrity. She is the bright star in my life, and I watch her creating kilonovas every day. As women, we must support one another. This will be our greatest strength. We must lead by example and work as if no glass ceiling exists, with the hope that the next generation will have no ceiling to break. Let us support each other and together generate the power of a kilonova, for then there shall be no ceiling.
Thank you so much, Nandini. I'd like to invite all our speakers up on stage. If I could have all of you put your hands together and give a big round of applause for excellence here.